Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host today, Jacob Boyers and Tyler Britton. Guys, Louisville, one day away. We obviously got a full game to talk about. Kentucky beat the brakes off of Valparaiso on Friday night. Jake, I know you saw some really great things from the team that we really needed to see before this big matchup against Louisville. What was your big takeaway from Kentucky's 107-59 win?
I mean, obviously, it's the offense after that first half against Nichols, and then just how much better this team is when Lowe's on the floor. I think it's kind of what we all talked about. You know, he didn't play a ton, obviously, just getting back, but you instantly saw the impact he can make at, not even 100%. So really gets you excited for the rest of the year. And, Friday night could not have gone better for trying to get the momentum ready for tomorrow night in Louisville. And I mean, Valpo, Schmalpo, it's Louisville. It's Louisville week. It's Louisville hate week. And 8:00 tomorrow night cannot come soon enough.
I'm there with you. I mean, it's not going to be as crazy as last time. Last time it happened on a Saturday. We were able to get a little bit more active last time. Kentucky.
I don't know. I don't know why you're acting like the boys aren't going to be active tomorrow night.
The boys will be active. Hopefully it's the fellows on the court at the KFC Yum Center. Tyler Britton might be a part of that as well. Tyler, what was one of your big takeaways from Kentucky's 48-point win?
Yeah, I was just excited to see all the players put up some points. I mean, you had Otega Owe, you had Aberdeen, you have Chandler, you have Garrison. I mean, Garrison was one that stood out for me a little bit, too. He had 12 points on the board. He went 4 for 4 on the field. I mean, he just seemed like he was having a better game all around, but everyone on the court was scoring points, which was nice. We were talking about the other day, Cam, with the women's basketball team. It seems like the teams all took a step up for their second game here. So, we're excited for that, and hopefully this is momentum going into Louisville.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And it's something that we needed. I don't think we've really felt all that great about this team since that Purdue exhibition opener. The Georgetown game didn't really go as planned, obviously, and neither did the Nichols game. I think you've really started to see with the presence of a true point guard. And when we got Aberdeen back and even the limited minutes you saw with Jalen Lowe, how much more this offense can pick up steam. And, 107 points. It's hard to score 107 points. And they did it. And it's got me very excited for Tuesday. I was a little weary, a little cautious of heading into Tuesday before this game. This game's got me feeling a little bit more confident now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm fully confident. I've already been keeping an eye on the DraftKings line. Plus 140 right now is really speaking that Jacob Boyers language. It's I'm probably going to bet it 3, 4, 5 times. I have a feeling it'll be 10 minutes before tip off, and we'll have a few Miller Lights down, and I'll go back for some more. But yeah, and then back to Friday briefly. We've not even talked about Malachi Moreno already. Talk
about. We haven't talked about anybody yet.
we mentioned a few names, but yeah, we'll throw Moreno in there because that was a heck of a performance. And you could tell he really benefits from having a true point guard out there. He finds a way to, find space in the paint and get to his spot and, was catching some lobs, but it just feels like he's got such a good feel of when his man goes to try to help stop the ball, and he finds a way to get open for just an easy assist. And, I know it's just Valpo, and that's not the athleticism we're going to see once we get into SEC play, but he's just been a guy in every single game so far has impressed me, and he was obviously super impressive Friday night.
Yeah, have a double-double this early in your collegiate career, only the second game, and you mentioned have 18 and 10 on over 50% shooting. I think Malachi was tremendous in this game, and Tom kind of already brought up Brandon Garrison. When did we start that debate already? It already feels like it's starting to become, I feel like you hear more and more people talking about the minute distribution between these two. And then let alone when JQ does get back, I think one of Pope's biggest hurdles he's going to have to overcome this season is who do I play there? At what point do you hand the reins over to Malachi from Brandon Garrison? And when JQ comes, obviously he just steps right in. And that's not even including a guy like Andrea Jelovich, who, only had 7 points in this game, but 7 points and 5 boards in 20 minutes. I'll take that kind of production any day of the week with just those minutes. I think that's going to be Pope's biggest test, honestly. He's going to be to see how he manages this like load of riches, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned it, even after the Nichols game. BG's a guy that I think could be in danger of, losing some of those minutes. To your point, especially once you get JQ back, I mean, that's a lot of depth at that position. And, it's a good problem to have. You rather have it than not
Great
have
problem.
it. But, again, just back to Malachi, I mean, he only played 21 minutes in this game and, went for 18 and 10. And when you look at it, I mean, he played more than Brandon Garrison in this one. I think you'll slowly start to see it continue to be that way. I don't expect, BG to be benched by any means.
Yeah.
Also, we do got to kind of see how does Malachi kind of adjust to this when we start to play teams like, St. John's and get into the SEC play? Will he still
I'm worried
be
about him playing St. John's. After
like,
watching
will
that
he-
game again, very worried about that.
will he still be able to be as physical? Because, it's no secret, I've been a pretty big critic of Brandon Garrison over his year at Kentucky, but I will say he also at times shows a lot of flashes where when you're playing a physical team, he's not scared to get down there and fight. So it'll be interesting to kind of see. I think we'll have a better idea of how these minutes should be dispersed in the next week and a half or so with Louisville and Michigan State coming up. Those are two real tests. And, I think against Louisville, if you get a big game out of BG or Malachi Moreno, like that's probably where you can capitalize a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, you and I have ridden the Brandon Garrison roller coaster over the past year and now just the start of this year. Usually these are the games that he gets up for. A big rivalry game, a game where that effort is going to be ticked up to 100% throughout the entire game. That's usually when you see him make big plays and he's actually crashing the boards, and you see those extra plays that he doesn't make in some of the games like Valparaiso or Nichols. I think this will probably be a pretty good Brandon Garrison game on Tuesday. But yeah, when it comes to
real quick, what's the line on a BG technical Tuesday night?
I don't know. I could definitely see it happening. I mean,
minus 200.
Almost got one last year. I mean, I was going to say something offensive to Jason Pryor. Yeah, that's his name, right? I can't even.
Yeah, we'll move on.
Have you seen the fit where he was warming up in? This guy looked like Machine Gun Kelly out there shooting threes at the Yum Center, and I
thought Ortega had the best response to it. We'll see him on the floor Tuesday night. I ain't gonna say anything. We'll be ready Tuesday night.
I know for a fact Jacob Boyers will be saying a little bit of something before the tip-off on Tuesday night.
Yeah, you better not go live. We might get in some trouble.
Yeah, I just kind of want to touch on this Valpo game before we can dive into what to expect against Louisville. I mean, all 5 starters scored in double digits, and really, I mean, none of them played more than 22 minutes. Colin Chandler played 23 right there. So, I mean, you got them in, you got them feeling good. Everybody's starting to get that cohesion together, and you got them off the floor. Everybody double digits. I think this is about as good of a tune-up game for the Louisville game as you could have had. And especially, I think I would have liked to have seen Jalen start and play a little bit more with the starters, but I also understand not fully rushing back into just starter minutes, even though technically he played 18, which is about the same that Brandon Garrison and Denzel Aberdeen played as well.
Yeah, Cam, I just want to piggyback off of that. I mean, credit to the bench coming in and putting 40 points up from the bench, and that's incredible too, just to know we have the comfort of that moving forward too, that we can put guys in, they can rotate in, get points on the board. That's going to be key, I think, down the road, especially against SEC opponents or against the teams that we want to beat, like Louisville.
Yeah, and especially, Jasper Johnson, 3 for 4 from 3 is huge. I think you've got to start to see some of these shots starting to go down. Obviously, we're still waiting on Cam Williams' shot and Andrea Yelovich to start falling. No better time than Tuesday night at the Yum Center. I'm telling you right now. What if that's Cam Williams' coming out game, Jacob? I mean, he's been struggling. You just hit down a couple of threes. I'm not asking for a lot. Hit 2-3 threes. Be that player that we thought we were getting in from Tulane. And I think that could really get his season sparked and start to get him trending in the right direction. Because if you're looking at this team in general, he's probably got the most downward trajectory at the moment, I would say, of the roster outside of JQ just
Definitely.
because he's injured.
Yeah, no, definitely. You want to see something from Cam Williams. I mean, there's always somebody in this game that kind of is an unlikely hero or has kind of a, out of the world experience. I mean, even last year with Lamont Butler, I mean, the guy was hurt, missed the prior 2 games or whatever. You didn't know if he was going to play. He wasn't exactly known as some dead-eye three-point shooter, and he goes out there and doesn't miss a shot and drops 30 on him. So somebody's going to step up. I'm going to wait for the end of the podcast, but I want to kind of see who you guys think will be that kind of breakout player. But back to Cam Williams, I still think like at some point these shots are going to drop. Like the dude's got a good shot. We've seen him do it at the D1 level. Like I don't know if it's just in his head right now, but to your point, Cam, it could be tomorrow night he comes out and makes his first one and quiets the crowd, and it just gets him in a rhythm and gets him going. So, I'm excited. Back to Friday night, I will say you mentioned Colin Chandler also. Like, I know it's kind of what we said after Georgetown, but like, it really is crazy just how good a lot of these guys look back in their natural positions from where they look against Georgetown and Nichols without Aberdeen or, Aberdeen barely playing in that first half. Like, Colin Chandler looks like a completely different player. He looks fantastic in the 2. I mentioned Malachi. I thought looked really good, playing with guys. And Mo Diabate has been stellar all throughout. But, like, just everything goes so much smoother with, a Jalen Lowe out there to really just kind of help these guys get into their natural positions. They don't have to force stuff that they're not used to. You mentioned Jasper Johnson. We didn't see him take a lot of bad shots that we kind of saw sometimes in Georgetown or Nichols when the offense wasn't really going. It felt like then he would get a fast break and just run down and pull a 3. Like everything just kind of settles down when guys are back in their natural positions. So, yeah, that was obviously really good to see just how everybody kind of clicked with Jalen Lowe out there, even in the small amount of minutes.
Yeah, and I think what you just brought up there leads me to like my next point with the assist to turnover ratio in this game. 27 assists to only 6 turnovers in this game. I mean, that's a recipe for success for any game, and you'll probably win any game with numbers and splits like that. I think that's something that you're going to have to do against Louisville, especially, I mean, with the guards that they claim to have. Point guard university, my ass. I mean, I don't know what Pat Kelsey's smoking down there in Louisville, but they gave him the good stuff because this guy's an absolute clown. If I was able to honk his nose in public without it being like assault or something of that nature, I feel like it's probably deserved. Wouldn't you say?
I mean, definitely a clown take. I mean, but they're kind of embracing just that nerdy little clown. I mean, it's so funny to kind of see where they come from. I saw, I'll say it, dumbass of the day on Twitter the other day that said that Pat Kelsey's a better coach than Rick Pitino, and they're so excited to, be in this era. And
they're starving. They're starving for anything down there.
I mean, it's almost like they forget that they played Creighton in a home game in the NCAA tournament and got ran off the floor, a year ago. Like, absolutely ran off the floor. So, I mean, 8 p.m., we're pretty much 24 hours away right now. And tomorrow, I'm just going to go ahead and let anybody that, might be listening from my work of TQL know that tomorrow, don't ask me for anything. I'm scrolling Twitter. I'm talking smack. I'm having my headphones in, listening to stuff. I'm going to listen to L Hardy Boy, and, I'm going to sit there and bump. I'm going to be doing the John Wall. You're not going to catch me doing anything work related tomorrow. And I'm just going to be counting down the minutes until 8 p.m.
I'm going to be right there with you. I mean, I've got some things to do, got some other podcast stuff to do. We're going to have to dive into a little bit of that football team, Jake.
I know. I'm excited.
What about that football team?
Oh, God, just everything. It's all coming together. This is what we've been waiting for.
Building up a little bit. I mean, granted, we still got the Bengals. So
hey, Joe Burrow's back to practice, baby. Vibes are at an all-time high across the board.
And it's a great time for, you mentioned, with Tuesday coming up. And
Hang on, real quick. We can't skip over. How about that volleyball team yesterday?
the
I turned
volleyball
off
team is ridiculous. This
the Sunday.
selling out
The
Memorial
Sunday.
Coliseum. I saw the tickets like on the resale market were like $40-something just to get in the door.
The
That's insane.
the
For as
Sunday.
much,
The Sunday
much
afternoon.
hate as Mitch Barnhart gets for some of the contracts that he's made, there's some of these like auxiliary sports I think he's actually done a terrific job in.
I turned off NFL football yesterday, and at first my wife started to yell at me, and then she was screaming at that volleyball game. I've never seen her be so into a UK sport. She usually says I'm ridiculous for the way I act, but she was loving every second of it. So I mean, we can't talk about the vibes here without talking about the fact that we kicked Tennessee's ass yesterday.
And Cam, I just heard Boyers volunteer himself with Miss Kate to go down and cover Cats volleyball.
Yep, there you go.
I'm probably out on that one.
We got women's basketball. He's going to get Cats volleyball.
Speaking of the
we got all the
women's basketball
sports.
team, I mean the women's basketball team 3-0, vibes around Lexington. I'm not sure if they can be higher. And vibes at Louisville, they just lost to Cal. They're about to lose to Kentucky. I mean, I don't know if they can be lower.
Jeff Brown possibly already, on the way out to go to Penn State, and maybe that's why he wasn't fully focused for this game. I mean, I don't know. People are saying,
People are talking.
especially if we win tomorrow night, the vibes of that school are going to be down like the L's, buddy.
Yes, sir. And this game, obviously, huge rivalry. But I mean, the series is 40-17. I mean, what point do we almost I get it's an
15
in-state
of the last 18.
Yeah. I mean, what? I think I heard somebody say since Obama was in administration, they've only won 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, since 2010, we're 15-3.
Yeah. See, so since Obama left office, they've won 3 times. I think Tyler Britton has more wins than that since the Obama administration. No comment.
What do you mean by that? And we're not going to go into it.
Dude, I mean, you talk about it. I mean, we hate them, but it's not much of a rivalry. I'll say it feels like everything with Tennessee's been more of a, even matchup as of late, and a back and forth kind of thing. But with little brother down the road, I mean, again, 15-3 is just that's just a beatdown. That's just owning somebody. So if they don't win tomorrow, they could be in trouble. They're at home, 3.5-point favorite. They finally have the high touted freshman and Brown. I would just love, and it's going to happen. We're going to smack them. I cannot wait.
It's going to be an incredible time to be a Kentucky fan, like it always is. Even in the times of trial and tribulation, it's still fun to be in Lexington. I can't say the same for the city of Louisville. I mean, is it fun to be in Louisville half the time? No. Unless you're going to church now.
Let's call Vince. Let's see what he says, because I bet he's kind of missing.
Him in Lexington. I see pictures of him in Lexington more than I see him in Louisville, and he
might be missing a little bit. His buddy's about to leave. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to bring him back or anything, but I think he would want to. Nope.
Can't do it. Unless he wants to work concessions with Mincy, you can't bring him back.
We won't, but I mean, would you be shocked if he wants to? I mean, no. The big dog might have made a big mistake.
Think the governor's going to make a call?
I don't think we need to bring Andy Bashir into this. We've already talked about enough clowns. We don't need to get into another whole set of them. But Jake, I mean, obviously Mikel Brown, you mentioned the highly touted prospect. I mean, that's going to be their go-to for offense. Him, Ryan Conwell, the Xavier transfer. You guys know my thoughts on Xavier University. And Kashawn Pryor, obviously getting him back from his injury last year. I mean, what are you expecting to see from this Louisville team on Tuesday besides a loss?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Louisville is really good this year. This is probably one of the – yeah, this is definitely one of the better rosters they've had in quite some time. I mean, you mentioned it.
Since Rick's been gone. Maybe that 1 year with Chris Mack.
Yeah, the 1 year they were up to number 3 in the country. But Conwell, I watched. I'm not going to say a lot of Xavier last year, but definitely some Xavier games. I mean, he's got the ability to go out there and drop 20, 25 and not really think about it and hit a couple deep threes. Mikel Brown, 5-star freshman, one of the, I would say one of the best freshmen in the country, but there's a lot of really damn good freshmen this year.
It really
So,
is.
I mean, definitely, again, they're probably most talented roster in a long time. And I think if you stack roster by roster, there's a world you could make the argument for Louisville. I just don't care. I don't care. Mikel Brown and, these forwards, Case Pryor, they haven't gone against some OD Abate yet. They haven't gone against Ortega. They haven't gotten hit in the paint by BG when he stands over them and talks again. I mean, BG was ready to go at their whole bench last year.
I mean, remember that angle of the photo? It looked like Mark Pope had Pat Kelsey in the headlock.
Yeah, Pat Kelsey already got little broed by Bill Self this year. I mean,
how quick in the game do you think we get a scuffle that's got to be de-escalated by the refs? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's early. I told you, I think, I could see BG getting an early technical. They're going to be talking. I mean, Kentucky players can say all the right things right now in media about how, Pryor's comments don't bother them, or, we'll let our play on the court handle it. But there's going to be a moment where they go for a loose ball and some things are going to be said. And Ortega and Diabate and BG are not going to forget what he said leaving that press conference. And you even kind of heard Pat Kelsey be like, I kind of wish I would have tackled him before he could have said it, because he knows, like, it's just adding fuel to a fire that I don't know if you necessarily want to stoke up.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had this fire with, like, the Cats Talk podcast, and if there was a Cards Talk podcast. Imagine if we had that. We're just like, F them. And we just – that's what I need.
Yeah.
I need a little bit of that in the media sphere. Like, who can we go after down there? Do you know even any of their media members?
There's a few clown balls. They still got that sheriff that's always talking. I saw him today compare. He acted like the Louisville job and Penn State job were equal in football. So, I mean, don't worry. They got some clowns over there.
I know they do. One of them is the big dog. So, I mean, we got we got a good amount of them over there now. Good news is the rivalry is back. I mean, I can't imagine. I can't even remember the last time I actually saw Louisville fans like somewhat looking forward to this game. I mean, I feel like it's been a long time. I mean, they were
can't blame them. I mean, they were horrible. They won 4 games like 3 years ago.
It was 2 years ago they were wearing brown paper bags over their heads in this game, and doing that at a rivalry game. Can't do that at a rivalry game.
Yeah, I mean, they had it for a moment when Mac was there, but I mean, it's been since Chris Mack.
So many scandals. University is full of scandals and allegations.
The other part of it is, like, I don't care what these coaches say. They don't like each other. Like, people act like we're kind of missing it from Cal and Rick. Like, I really don't think these two dudes like each other. I was listening to part of my take a few weeks ago, and they had John Fanta on there, and he talked briefly about college basketball. And he said, he's like, the Kentucky-Louisville rivalry is back. And he's like, everything you hear from the circles around these programs, Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope do not like each other. And I think that just adds a whole nother level to it. But it also helps having a guy like Mark Pope at the helm. He understands what this rivalry means, and he understands how big it is. And, Cal and everybody can say it's just another game. Pope knows it's not. Like, this game means more to this fan base than anything else. And honestly, to your point, we've been pretty spoiled by kicking their butt for, the last 18 times we played them. So, but he's going to want to keep that rolling.
I'll say this too. I mean, I know it's a big rivalry, but this is the first real test on the road too before we get into some other non-conference play. I mean, we got the Louisville game that we play Eastern Michigan, and then we play Michigan State. Then we got a few games off it, or we play some other nonsense teams, but then we play North Carolina and Gonzaga. So I mean, this is the start of some bigger non-conference teams that we do play. So it is important not only to win for this, to claim the crown in the state of Kentucky, but also just to, be ready for the bigger competition for the non-conference games, and then really just to warm up for the SEC games as well.
Yeah, I mean, I always love the early season tests like this to, get a nice gauging point of where your team is and where they need to go. And that's the part I've loved about bringing Pope in. You just mentioned 4 great games that we're going to see just in the non-conference. And it's good to see the different styles of basketball that are being played in each conference. Obviously, we're going to play the Big Ten. We're going to play the ACC. I mean, That's a part I like, taking like the premier teams of these different conferences and playing them early, because obviously, ACC basketball is not the same as the SEC basketball. It's not the same brand. Same as with the Big Ten. So I think it's good, especially once we get way further down the line in March, to be able to have all those times be like, hey, we played Louisville, we beat Louisville, we did this, we've played that style, that brand of basketball, and we were successful in playing it. Because right now, you mentioned the guards and how good these guards are and how good they can be. That was our sticking point in that game against Georgetown. That was kind of our Achilles heel. Those guards were able to get where they wanted when they needed to, and that was kind of how they kept the team at bay. Obviously, there was no Jalen Lowe. That's where I would say my biggest cause for concern is that these guards just kind of get to their spots, get to their marks on the floor, and are able to facilitate to some of these other guys. But that's why this Jalen Lowe injury. Yes, it kind of allowed you to see that Colin needs to be a 2 and a set 2, and you can't really use him at the 1. But it definitely does set you back. And if I had to put a red caution flag up for anything, it would be that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but back to the Georgetown point, you didn't just not have Lowe, you didn't have Aberdeen either. So that is kind of a big clause to that. But yeah, I mean, Conway, he kind of is the player that scares me, just because, like I said, he doesn't always play great. You kind of saw that when he was at Xavier. He would have games where, especially some big games where he didn't play his best. But he was also a guy that on any given night could go out and, make 6 threes and drop 25 and be a spark plug and be the reason they win a game. So there is a world where he just gets crazy hot tomorrow night and you don't really have an answer. So that is a cause for concern, but I do think it's a little different having Aberdeen and Lowe back.
Yeah, and I also think, I think I've beat it to a dead spot at this point. Just I think you're going to get the Otega Owe that you get in the Oklahoma games, the ones that you get when you need him to
he's ready
show
for
up.
this moment.
I mean, I think he has to be ready. If he doesn't come in with this is his first time as the leader of this team, be able to be put on a national spotlight. Otega's got to answer the bell, and I think this will be a big measuring stick for what I think his finals. Obviously, it is his final season, but his senior season in college basketball could be.
Yeah, and I think he'll be ready for it. You mentioned it, Oklahoma in the SEC tournament. He played well against Tennessee both times. I think he just, he's a guy that when the moment's big, he's kind of ready for it. We've talked about kind of similar to BG, there's maybe plays or, moments where he kind of takes his foot off the gas and lets up. I don't see how you can do that tomorrow night in the Yum Center. I mean, that place is going to be rocking. If you can't get up for that, then, I don't know what to tell you. But we saw him do it in big games on the road last year. I mean, really outside of Alabama, and that was in part because Mo Diabate was guarding him. I don't think that was anything, effort or moment being too big for him or anything like that. So this is a game where I fully expect a big away game. And, I don't know if he'll be your leading scorer, but I fully expect one of those games where we sit back and we're like, man, Otega had 15 and 6 or something and played really well and got to the basket at times when you needed it. And he'll probably make a big shot or, get to the rim for a big layup at some point late in the second half.
Yeah, I think the thing that I want to see from Otega the most is obviously it's on the defensive side of the ball. You mentioned Conway and his ability to score, Mikel Brown. I mean, Otega's going to be on one of those guys for majority of the entire game, and I want to see him take that leadership role like he did. I mean, he did it in the Purdue game, and then the Georgetown game did the polar opposite. Obviously, I think he's got a lot riding on this game. I mean, I think this is the NBA told him what he needed to work on coming back this season. It was on the defensive side of the ball and the 3-point shooting. I don't want to see him shooting a lot of threes in this game, but I would love to see that defensive effort, and I think that'll go a long way because I think there's a good chance. Obviously, Jalen's not the best defender, but with Colin Chandler, Mo Diabate, and Otega Owe, if you get a locked-in Otega, if you're running those 3 guys out there, I think it's going to be hard for Louisville to get some buckets, especially if you're having one of those BG games as well where he's fully locked in. I think a lot really comes down to the buy-in you're getting from Ortega and Brandon Garrison in this game. And you mentioned it. That shouldn't be a problem. Should not be a problem to get these guys to buy into the UK U of L rivalry. But I do want to ask you guys, we're coming here close to 30 minutes for the pod. What are the keys to victory for the Wildcats team? What do you need to see that we haven't seen so far, or something that we have done well in the previous games that you need to see for Kentucky to come out with a victory tomorrow night?
I mean, I don't know if they.
Go ahead, Boris.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to piggyback off of the Brandon Garrison and Colin Chandler energy, to be honest. I was, before he even said it, Cam, I was thinking about those two. Brandon Garrison, or just him and the energy he's going to bring to the Louisville game and the rivalry itself. If he can play and get locked in, I think he's going to be a key figure there. It seems like whenever he does well, the team does well, going back to even last year. So, getting a good spark off of him. And then Colin Chandler, I mean, he's been the guy so far this year where I feel like, we saw that dunk the other night and we're just like, wow, okay, the energy is going. Now, granted, that was at Rupp Arena, but I feel like that travels with the team too. Colin Chandler can have one of those moments. Really, anybody for that matter can have one of those moments too to get the game going. That's going to be huge. I think that's what's going to help carry the momentum through this game and even to some of the other games down the road.
Yep.
Yeah, and I got kind of two things, but one, I don't know if it's got to be like Friday night where you have 27 assists and only 6 turnovers, but I think if they're able to kind of move the ball around like they did in that Valpo game without making mistakes and making errors, I think that'll pay dividends. All this, we're talking about how much better it looks with Jalen Lowe out there. You got to kind of continue to piggyback off of that, right? Let him get to his spot. Let him dish and hit guys for open shots. He had 6 assists. I think 4 or 5 of them were in the first half. So I think just that is a huge key. We got to create easy offense, which you finally saw Friday night. They weren't struggling for everything. And then second, I think Louisville will make a run at some point in this game, but I think you got to kind of make it to where it doesn't kill you, right? You can't let them go on a 12-0 run early to start the game and get that crowd completely going crazy. But I also still think there's going to be a lot of blue in that building. It's not going to be all red. So, if you can come out and, have a good first 5 minutes of this game and put those fans on edge, then I think all the energy in that place will shift from them being super excited and, hopeful to, I feel like they'll have a very nervous feeling because they know how big this one is for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the runs, and any UK U of L game, even the ones where we blow their doors off, there's
even
always
last year.
Runs going back and forth. What's your thought process? Obviously, we don't have a full 100% Jalen Lowe. What are your thoughts on? I don't know what the starting lineup's going to be. I would assume Jalen's in that starting lineup. Yeah. What are your thoughts on giving him that similar amount of minutes, but having Denzel start, or vice versa, to be able to let Colin play the 1 or Colin play the 2 while he's out there instead of having both Lowe and Aberdeen out there on the floor together? Because I feel like that's when we're our best. I'd love to see. Grant, maybe you can just make an early line change, get Colin into the game early and get Denzel and or Jalen Lowe out of the game. I think that's where we're going to be our best, and I think that's how we can fend off some of those runs that you were talking about. I think that'd be our best way to attack it. I kind of just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea of, being able to sub Aberdeen and Lowe kind of 2 for 1. I think, Aberdeen seems pretty well healthy, but, you still don't really know about Lowe. You don't want to see him go too hard. The other part is we saw a shoulder injury with a point guard last year.
Don't want it to keep going all year.
Yeah, he could be perfectly fine for 20 minutes, and then you go for a loose ball and fall on it wrong, and everything's completely off the wheels. So I just think you want to try to not play him too much, but also it's November 11th, but it's the Louisville game. This is a game where you go out and you give it your all and you go for a win. So, but I do agree. I like the ability where you have options to not play Lowe and Aberdeen at the same time. And in part, that's because of how well Colin Chandler's looked at the 2. He's given you that option essentially to say that you don't have to force those 2 guys on the floor at all times.
Yeah, and especially with how good defensively he's been, and you're seeing the athleticism finally show up, and you're seeing when he's not having to take, shots off the dribble, you're seeing that 3-pointer start to fall in with a lot more regularity.
Oh yeah.
And kind of got to one of my keys of the game. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Trent Noah is going to be a full healthy participant in this game. I got to see between him, Cam Williams, and Yelovich. I got to see some of those threes go in between those three, because those threes, those guys, those are your theoretical shooters on the team. Those are your marksmen. I've got to see some shots fall, because none of those three have wowed me when it comes to the ability to shoot the ball, and especially Trent of the three guys. If he's going to get minutes on the floor, he's got to be hitting his shots, because at least Yelovich and Cam Williams give you some size and athleticism. Right now, Trent's really only ability is to hit those corner threes and hit the threes, hopefully with regularity. Hopefully this is one of those kind of like Patrick Sparks, get a kid from Kentucky, has a big game against Louisville, and then it really just sparks for the rest of his season. But I think a big key for mine is obviously 3-point shooting in the Pope system is always going to be a big key coming into any game. But I think those three specifically, I don't know how many threes we need to get from the three of them, like in a combination, maybe like 4 between the three of them. I think we need to fall. But I just got to see him shoot a good percentage and be able to get open looks, because you mentioned it with the Valparaiso game. There was a lot more open looks to be had, and I think that's why you saw us almost shoot 40% from three. I think there's going to be a lot of open looks, and I think it's going to be for guys like Cam Williams, Trent Noah, and Andrea Yelovich. And I think a lot of what this game resides on is going to be whether those are falling or whether they're not.
Yeah, definitely. But again, just back to the point, it's a lot easier when those threes are open and you're catching them in stride. I mean, just look at how you mentioned it. Just look at how different Colin Chandler looks, being able to kind of catch the ball and pretty much decide right then and there if he's going to try to take his man and get to the rim, or if he's going to pull that trigger. I mean, I feel like really good at making that split decision. The decisions with the ball in his hand are a little different, but if he catches the ball on the wing, he's making a really good decision of if I should shoot this or attack. So I think just having that point guard makes it a lot easier for them. So I mentioned it earlier, but I do want to kind of hear, probably, let's say without mentioning like Otega away, because we obviously know he's our best player. Who do you guys kind of expect to have the game that if we win, we're sitting here talking about that guy had a performance against Louisville that we'll remember?
Are we talking about just like an unexpected guy, kind of like how you didn't expect Lamont to have 30 plus? Or are we talking about more like who's going to be my MVP prediction for the game?
I mean, you can kind of put them together if you want. I mean, I would say outside of Otega, like they could kind of all be unexpected because, any of these guys could probably go off. So, I mean, besides Otega, who do you think you would be looking at and be like, that's the MVP, or they had kind of a performance that we'll remember?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of start off with just like who I think is going to be the unsung hero, and I've kind of built it up the entire game or the entire podcast. I think this could be Cam Williams' coming out party. I think you get some of those shots to fall. I think he might be a guy who feeds on like the road crowd environment, feeds on, the opposing fans calling him out, doing stuff like that. I feel like he might be a guy that, everybody knows the guy who needs needs constant support, needs those pats on the back. Then we all know the guy who you got to meet him front to front with confrontation for them to get anything done. I feel like Cam Williams might be one of those guys, and I feel like he might shine on Tuesday. And by shine, I don't mean he's going out and putting up like a Lamont Butler where he's going 100%, but he's hitting 2 or 3 threes and in clutch moments, grabbing a couple loose balls, some extra rebounds, stealing us some possessions, and playing good defense on the other side of the ball. But that would not be my MVP pick, and I'll give you that a little bit later once we get to our score predictions. But Tyler, who would you expect to be a little bit of an unsung hero if you had to pick somebody out of the starting 5? Who would you pick to, maybe steal a couple possessions, grab a couple blocks, grab some rebounds, anything to help this team to a victory over the Louisville Cardinals?
Why not Malachi Moreno again?
I love it.
I mean, he just had a hell of a game. Let's see if he can do it 2 times in a row. Let's see if he can, be that unsung hero who kind of takes it to the next level and just, blows it out of the water against Louisville, the big in-state rival. I mean, this would put him on the map. This could help him a lot. I think this would help the team a lot too. So I'm gonna put Malachi Moreno. I'm gonna make it 2 weeks in a row for him.
Yeah, and I love that. I feel like it hasn't been too often where you have a good amount of like actual Kentucky guys that understand this rivalry. You got Trent, you got Malachi, and Jasper. It feels like we barely even talked about Jasper. Jasper could go off for
Well,
20.
give me a
20
second because
Is that where
that's
you're
where
going?
I'm
I kind of
headed.
had a feeling that might have been where you were going, leading into the Kentucky connection.
I will
But
say
I think there's
real
a way
quick.
that I think that's always the best part about this Louisville game is
Yeah.
that like you take away so many random memories. Like I don't know why. Like for some reason, I have a very vivid memory of me being in my apartment watching this game and EJ Montgomery getting a slam and just panning to
Yep.
the crowd. There's just this older guy with the L's down in everybody's faces, and just like memories like that for some reason I remember, 5 years later, and
Yeah.
EJ Montgomery was not a good player for the Cats. And those are the things that I remember. And that's a great thing about this rivalry. But Jacob, I want to give the floor to you here, sir, because you kind of teased it there. Go ahead and give me your score prediction for the game and who is going to be the MVP for the Cats.
Well, yeah, real quick, I will say back to that EJ Montgomery. I remember that game very well. That whole team, I feel like, just threw L's down for like 40
Every
minutes
chance they
after the
got.
game. Like
Every
once
chance
Higgins
they
got that steal and dunked it with, a second left and the game was already out of reach. But yeah, quickly I will say you mentioned it. Jasper Johnson, I think, is going to be kind of I don't know how big of a surprise it is, but I could just see him getting hot and going, 4 or 6 from behind the arc or something, and just having one of those games where we just remember it and just kind of being a spark plug off the bench. I could see him coming in and doing it early, and really just kind of getting the momentum going in Kentucky's way. As far as my MVP, I'm going to surprise you guys. I'm going to take BG. I think this is a game built for him. And I'm not saying it like he's going to go out and score 15 and, have 15 boards or something crazy. But, if he can come out and I think he gets 10 rebounds in this game. And I think he just plays with an edge that the whole team feeds off of.
What's the line on that? Can I take you on that? Can
Yeah,
I
I mean,
give me some good odds on that one?
yeah, I don't know what they are at DraftKings, but we'll check it out. But I just think he's going to be the MVP without even probably being one of our top 6 or 7 scorers. I think he's going to just bring the energy. He's going to be ready for this one. And as big of a critic as I've been of him over the past year, this is the kind of game where it just feels like he's going to be ready to go. And I'll give him bonus points if at the end he gives Pryor a little nudge there. So I'll take BG, and then for a score, I'm going to go 91-85 Cats.
Yeah, and Jacob, I kind of like what you said there about BG. There's just like a presence that Brandon can bring to this game that
Just a
really
lot of energy.
I don't know if anyone else on this team can bring, just with the sheer size and stature that Brandon Garrison has, the fact that he's already played in this rivalry, he already gotten the dust up in the last one. Like he's the only guy who can kind of bring that presence. Obviously, Ortega played in this last year, showed to Trent Noah, but the sheer size that he has and the physicality that he can play with when he wants to, I think he can really set.
Tell me you can't envision a guy going for a layup after they beat one of the guards and BG just sending that thing to the third row and screaming.
I mean, from your lips to God's ears, buddy, I'd love to see it.
That's gonna happen. I think he's gonna have a performance that we're talking about after the fact.
All right, Tyler, the floor is yours. Where are you going with this top 10 matchup in Louisville, Kentucky?
It's hard to follow because that was exactly everything I was going to say. I had BG down, and I was like, "Yeah, he's the energy we were talking about earlier." I was going to back pocket it. I was like, "Nope, not going to say anything more about him."
Oh God, he's going to have 2 points, 1 rebound, and
you guys
not
just
be on the
changed him.
floor. Yeah.
He's going to get in foul trouble within the first 3 minutes of this game, and you guys are just never going to.
Don't say you guys. That's one man.
That's you two. That is you two.
Well, usually I go first on these, and then Boyers has to switch his up, and I'm like, oh, okay, no big deal. And then he opened the floor up to Boyers.
Well, now it's your turn, buddy.
He took mine right out of my mouth. It was going to be BG for everything he just said. I just felt like this was the energy that he was going to need. This was going to be the game that he needs to bring the energy for. We talked about what he did last year. This is important. 10 rebounds, I think it's cake. it's just going to happen. It's BG is my pick. I can't say anything more. Boyd's already said it.
I love the enthusiasm, especially for a rivalry week in which I get to throw L's down. Like I might just go around to some of my accounts at work tomorrow who were in Cincinnati and have no idea what I'm doing. Might just give them an L's down just to get ready for the night.
Why not?
I don't know where you guys are seeing this Brandon Garrison 10-plus rebounds.
It's time,
I love it. I love it, and I tell you what, if you can find that DraftKings line, it's probably
I'm looking right now.
I genuinely don't know if I can remember him going for 10-plus rebounds the entire season last year. But you guys mentioned it. I mean, this is a game where he'll be incredibly motivated, and he can bring that presence if he wants to. My thing on it is I just don't know if he's going to play the minutes to get it. We've already seen how much they've been rotating him and Malachi. And there's a chance with those shifty guards that they have in Conway and Brown that he might get into some early foul trouble just for the 10-plus rebounds. I do think BG can and should have a big game in this one. But if we're going to talk about my MVP pick, it's going to be Mohamed Diabate. I think this is going to be one of those games where a guy who just fills the stat sheet, he might not, when you look at the box score and you look at the points, it might not be the guy who you're like, oh yeah, that was him. He was the reason they won this game. But I think you're going to look at him with double-digit points. He's going to have near double-digit rebounds, and he's going to have 4 or 5 assists, and he's going to get those cleanup balls. He's going to find his way to be a part of every part of this game, defensively, offensively, in transition, playing defense on the run backs. I think we're in store for a really good game from Mohamed Diabate. And honestly, I think it's just what I've come to expect. Even though it's only 2 games into the season, I think I'm going to expect the traditional Mohamed Diabate stat line. And I mean, what did they give out? They give out like that glass bat? Or what did they do last year?
I don't remember. To be fair, last year when we watched this game,
it was a little bit of a blur, true. But I mean,
I just remember screaming.
Trophy is, I think you can go ahead and etch Mohamed Diabate's name on it, and just go ahead and give it to him and get ready for it because he's used to big rivalry games, but he's not used to this big of a rivalry game. And I think he's going to rise to the occasion because you mentioned it when you were talking about Ortega earlier. When he was faced with a challenge, he rose up, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that'll be huge for the Cats in this one.
Yeah. Who do you think they have him guard a lot? Because obviously I feel like Pryor's the easy one, but I could see them putting him on Mikel Brown at times, to slow him down, especially if he kind of gets hot early. So I don't know. I guess that's the best part about Diabate is you can really move him wherever you need to.
I think the best thing you can do for a freshman guard who's getting tested this early in the season is just run a lot of different looks at him. Go ahead and on one possession, run Muhammad at him. Go ahead, the next one, have Aberdeen guarding Ortega, Colin Chandler. And I think with having, the depth that we actually have defensively with this group, I think that's going to be something that you can really pressure Mikel Brown with. Now, I don't know if you can do it with Conway or not. I mean, he is a seasoned veteran. Obviously, you mentioned how volatile he was at Xavier. Hopefully you get the valley of what he's capable of and not the mountain. But I'm so looking forward to this game. I know I didn't even give you a score prediction yet. I just got so excited in what I was doing for key picks. I'm going to say it's a little bit lower scoring than yours, Jacob, but right in that similar ballpark. I'm going to have the Cats winning by 7, 88-81, with Mohamed Diabate as the winner of the MVP. And Tyler, I don't think I heard a score prediction. I know you tried to weasel your way out of it.
He was so rattled.
I was. He threw me off my game altogether. I didn't even get to it, but I'm gonna be more with Cam here. I think it's going to get to the 80s. I don't think it's going to reach the 90s. I'm looking at a closer game here. Let's give it 87-89 Cats.
I hate the way he says scores.
I know.
I do. He always says the loser first. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. He does it every time.
And then he's like, I'm going with a much lower scoring game. I said 91-85, and he's at 89-87.
Yeah.
I said it's going to hit the 80s. I didn't say it was going to. I just said it wasn't going to hit the 90s. I think you have too much confidence there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game.
Are identical. Our totals are identical. And he's like, much lower scoring game.
All right, BBN. It's obviously Louisville Hate Week. We're going to have another one coming here soon, too, with the football game. Jake, can we potentially put them out of the playoffs for sure? I mean, the ACC sucks, so there's a good chance.
Two lost ACC teams not getting in. They're already done.
Somebody's got to get in from the ACC.
Now, they may completely quit by then because
Miami loses.
Jeff Brown might be on his way up to
All I'm
Happy
saying
Valley.
is this isn't going to be the last Louisville hate week we have of the year. It's not even close. But
Little
guess what,
dogs
guys?
talking.
We're going to have you covered here on the Cats Talk podcast for Louisville Hate Week this week, Louisville Hate Week later on in the season. Follow us on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and we're everywhere you get your Spotify podcast, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. Guys, don't forget to follow us. Spotify told me and said, "Listen, you got to tell the listeners to follow you because we're getting a lot of streams. Nobody's clicking that follow button, fellas. That's a Louisville move. That's a Louisville move to not hit the follow button after listening to us. With that being said, guys, go Big Blue. L's down always.
L's down, baby.
Go Big Blue.